Mayor live on X and numerous other places.
YouTube, Rumble, Facebook.
Yeah, come on, Ted. YouTube, Rumble.
Facebook, Newsmax 2, Instagram. We're now on Instagram. We're on Instagram every night.
You know what? You know why I show Ted? We can get a lot of young ladies now. Well, now I'll get.
He's just pumping my tires.
Can you give me his phone number? Is he married? He's not married. Not married. Not even close to getting married. So don't worry.
Yeah.
He's like it's not going to be like that guy on the Jumbotron in Boston. Right?
Oh my goodness, we got to recreate that.
I feel sorry for him. I really do. I mean, look, I got my own history and problems, and I'm not a perfect human being. The only good thing for me being a Christian is Jesus never expected me to be a perfect human being. And I do ask for forgiveness for my sins. But that's a pretty big penalty for, maybe it wasn't, I don't know. It depends on how you look at it. I mean, I'm very, very split on this, Ted, because I think that basic morality is very necessary for our society. And I really believe the Marxists, by taking God out, have also taken that out. At the same time, I think unrealistic, excessive morality and judgment and condemnation is a very bad thing. That should be left to God and to Jesus and to whomever else you believe in. We shouldn't be going around condemning this guy. I don't know. Half the guys condemning him probably do the same thing, right? So these people who were doing something wrong, they're doing something, in my view, even though, look, I have to confess to it too, doing something sinful, doing something pretty rotten, like double-crossing your partner, right? Now, put that over here. Now let's go over here. It's only been going on for about 3,000 years, right? People have been doing this from time immemorial. Who am I to judge what they did? Or maybe the person who taken that picture has done it themselves, but they're crucifying these people. I don't know. I'm very conflicted about this thing. I mean, they got really a heavy penalty. Of course, they should not have been cheating on their husband and their wife. Wrong. But should they have been exposed like that? I don't know. You know, there's a whole book I read a long time ago that have been much better for children if people calmed down a little about extramarital affairs and didn't get so ego involved in it and thought about the good of the children and tried to keep some of these marriages together where there was extramarital affairs. Because for the stability of the child, depending on whether it was going to continue, whether it was going to become like a habitual thing, if you could straighten it out, if it could become like like a teaching moment, it might be better, so the husband gets caught having an affair. He really loves his wife and children, but he was being stupid. Is it better to keep that marriage together for the next 35 years so the kids have a lot of stability? Or is it worth, out of ego, to just destroy, out of ego, principle even, to destroy it? It's not an absolutely yes or no question. It's more complicated than that. If you are willing to look at human conduct realistically over 2,000 or 3,000 years, I mean, when they would do these little scandals and somebody would get caught doing something like this, I would say, oh, wow, this is the first time that ever happened. They catch like that, those people on the Jumbotron who have now been like crucified, right? That's the first time that happened? No, they got caught. Who knows how many?
Showing now or replay, people just making fun of it now. Now every kiss cam, everyone around the country. And
they're making fun of it, but they wouldn't like it if they were the ones caught in it, right?
Right. So it really comes down to.
And who knows how many who are making fun of it haven't done the same thing.
So here's another question for you, Mayor. How far this goes, is it, do you have less sympathy for them if the individual, if this CEO is, if former employees of this company have complained about this guy, if he has a bad reputation among his workforce, does that?
I would say that's right. I would say that you've got to look at the full. You got to look at the full picture of it. I've represented people in this situation of all different kinds. Maybe, I'm going to say not a lot, maybe 6 or 7. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but they were different, just like the mafia people are different. I prosecuted mafia people who loved to kill, and I prosecuted mafia people who hated to kill. I mean, they would try to avoid it every way they could. They couldn't handle killing. Others just love, like Gotti, love being there. They love doing it. When people are sinful, which we all are except Jesus, they're not all of them are not like completely horrible people. There may be good things about them. So I don't know. You can't start judging everybody. God does that. This was a horrible thing that person did that stuck them up there and let the whole family have to deal with that in a shocking, traumatic way. I mean, maybe they would have found out about this affair in the normal way. It would have worked its way in. It's possible they'd have to break up. It's possible they might be able to reestablish their relationship. It's better for the children, assuming it isn't like a bad marriage that's hurting the children, that it gets reestablished.
And I still think we live in a culture where we believe in second chances. And I'm now speaking from their professional careers, right? Because they're going to be hit hard here. She's already resigned from this company, the gentleman. But if we really, I guess it comes down to a person, how, the sanctity of marriage, right? Because if we zoom out, how, like, is this really is the piling on fair, right? Like you said,
no.
This is 50%, over 50% issue as far as.
I mean, let's think of the whole history of the world, right? This is the first time this happened.
I think part of it is
how many other human beings have these two people shared this frailty, sin, aberration? What do you want to call it? How many have they shared it with? Innumerable numbers of people going back to before recorded history. Right?
Right.
Is it wrong? You're damn right it's wrong. But there are none of us, other than our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who have lived a life and not done anything wrong. So first of all, if you want to condemn them, go screw yourself. Jesus can condemn them. God can condemn them. But I bet you can't, because whether you did that or you did something else, you probably did something morally abhorrent also and are going to need forgiveness. So stop being holier than thou. Now, these people made a mistake. Unfortunately, unlike millions of others who made the same mistake, they got caught at it. And they got caught at it in an enormously embarrassing way. And I don't like it. I don't like this. I know it's getting a lot of attention, but I think morally it degrades us in a way. I can't quite explain it, but
Well,
It just seems so damn unfair.
We do have people that haven't seen it, so we should show it once.
Do we have to show it?
No, we don't have
here,
to.
let me just tell you what it is. He's hugging her.
All right, we don't have to
And
show it.
she's
You not want to show
okay,
it?
show it. Show it. Show
I
it.
think it's
You can show it. It's okay. I mean, what's the difference? Everybody else
at this point, right? Yeah.
Now, they say there's extra film here where they were making out.
I've seen that. We won't show.
Because I think, you see, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to
restart right now, Mayor. Here's the video. There it is.
Okay. Okay. If that's all people saw, they made a very big mistake.
That is all people saw.
No. If all you saw is that, of course you'd be suspicious.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily tell you extramarital affair.
Right.
He's holding her.
Yeah.
I know it's a little close to her breast. On the other hand, she looks like she's leaning back. That could be a friend, right? Now watch what happens.
Sorry.
They
they see right there is when they see. Oh God.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you a lesson from trial law that helps you with this. But show the whole thing now. Show the rest of it. And it's damn TikTok. See, the two of them just told you I did something terrible.
Just ducked away.
Suppose they had just stayed there. Tim.
Yes. They would have moved on to the next couple, and no one would have remembered this. We wouldn't even know about this. I wouldn't even known Coldplay was in Boston that night.
I don't know if it would have made a big deal if the two of them didn't do that.
Nobody, unless the wives or the spouses were watching the.
So
it is one of those.
I won't tell you who it is, but one of the women that I was very close to was a pianist. And every time when she was starting, every time she'd make a mistake on the piano, she would go. And her teacher or her father told her, will you stop that? Most people don't even notice the mistake.
Right.
You just emphasize, you just hit the wrong note. Most of them don't know exactly what note Mozart had in mind after that one.
Yeah. That's a very good
And
point.
if you start doing this,
yeah, then you're telling people.
that's what happened there. I don't know. That was a little tough.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah,
no, nobody
would
would
have
have
holding her like this, right? But I have to tell you, I've held people like that I had no romantic involvement with. Here's where I would get worried if I were him. They were, but you got to look really quickly. They're a little close to the breast. Very close to the breast, actually. But I still think, okay, he was just helping her. We don't see a kiss. Their reaction tells you that what they're doing, what she just did and what he just did, says, I'm doing something shameful.
Yeah, look at him. He went under. Look at that.
Look at her. Shameful.
It's a dead giveaway.
Now,
nobody would have remembered this.
To a certain respect, that ruined their lives. Should something like that ruin their lives?
Absolutely not.
I don't think so.
Not ruin lives. We believe in second chances. And that's where I think in the long run,
there's something.
I'm hopeful they'll both recover from this.
There's something really weird about our society. I don't even know who these people are. They may be terrible people. They may be wonderful people. And I don't, at this point, it's actually better if you don't know. If they are, they aren't. So you think about neutral principles by which they should be judged. But this is like, I think Jesus should come down right now. He should take that video and he should put a big thing in front of it because it's very similar. And he should say, he that hasn't sinned should be the first one to condemn them. And if not, just keep your mouth shut and go worry about yourself. That's what I think Jesus would do, not all this condemning stuff. But that's me, and that's my view of my religion.
Now, Mayor, can we at least?
I feel sorry for these people.
Yeah,
and I feel sorry. I feel sorry for the wife and the husband and the whatever kids are involved. And didn't have to be done this way. If you're going to break up a marriage, it's hard enough. It doesn't have to be done this way. Go get.
Well said, Mayor.
The difference is that I've been through it all. You haven't. So it's two different perspectives.
So I've never been married, but I do.
I have a few times.
But
And divorced.
So look, I think, so let's talk about the morality of our reactions to it. I think it's okay to, I mean, look, I'm laughing at the idea of, like, you're doing this at a concert and you get put on the kiss cam, right? Like, what are the odds? And then I'm laughing at their reaction because, my goodness, if they just stood there for 3 seconds, the camera moved on to the next couple, and we wouldn't even know about this, right? I'm just thinking.
I don't know if we can find this movie, but there's a movie in the 1970s, I think, in which, I don't know who did this movie. I don't think it was Woody Allen, maybe. But the wife walks in, and the husband is in bed with another woman. And immediately, rather than panicking, he gets up and he starts putting his clothes on. And she says, "You're cheating on me. You're cheating." He said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not." And he chases the woman out. Woman's out. He's all dressed up like this. And he said, "You're wrong. I wasn't cheating. That's just figment of your imagination."
I think that, yeah, and that movie, what you're referring to, that concept, right? I don't know if it's gaslighting, which that came back under Trump the first term. Remember the term gaslighting? I had no idea what gaslighting meant. But I tend to agree with you.
I don't even like that word, gaslighting.
Right. These are very personal situations between these individuals. I think some folks that have this strong feeling in protecting the sanctity of marriage, right? I'm not saying I'm one of those folks, but there are people out there, right, that feel strongly about
marriage should be protected. And
right.
I think you should do everything you can you should do everything you can to protect the sanctity of all these things.
And so some will say
then people do things wrong.
So shaming them, some would say, is important to do in order to protect and to dissuade others from going down this path.
Do you do that? Do you? So I watch all these dog rescue things, right?
Yeah.
So they say the best way to train a dog is with positive reinforcement. You want to get your dog to go out, to go to the bathroom instead of doing it in the house. When he does it in the house, you don't beat him up or hit him or whatever. Maybe you put his nose there and you take him outside So you let him know, then you take him outside and you wait for him to go. And when he goes, you give him a treat. And you tell him, "Good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy." You don't traumatize him with spanking him or because he went inside. And you're gonna train him a lot faster to go outside and not traumatize the poor little thing if you start punishing him. So punishment is almost reserved to God and the authorities. And to smart parents who know how to use it the right way, but never overuse it. You're never going to produce much out of punishment. You're really not. You're going to produce a lot more out of positive reinforcement. And what they did was very wrong. What they did was very sinful. But let's step back now. They're the first ones to ever do that. Like, this is like unique? Are there some like incredibly long list of human beings, many of whom maybe were very productive and useful human beings who did the same thing? So maybe this is a little more complicated than you acting like the Grand Inquisitor. I'm sorry. I just feel bad for them. I wish it hadn't happened to them. Wish it hadn't happened to their families. If it was going to come out, I wish it would have come out in a more sensible way in which you could deal with it. The fact that they were having an affair might reflect some pressure in their relationship. It might reflect their own narcissism. It might be justified. How do we know? You don't know what they were involved in. So,
and the band, and he's a superstar. The head of the band Coldplay, his name is Chris Martin. He didn't really help because he made a, which I can't blame him, right? He's on stage and he made a comment.
He's a wise guy. He's being a wise
Uh-oh.
guy. I don't blame him either.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's performing. He's a performance
he's a
artist.
performer. He's shocked
In the
and
moment.
says,
Yeah.
and it was funny. What he said was funny. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But he's not the one who created the situation. It's all the whole crazy world we have now. That
Maybe in the long run, and I'm hopeful. I hope that both families, are able to move forward however they feel is right, and maybe a lesson learned. And I think down the road in the society we live in today, Mayor, we'll be seeing more of these two. You know what they say about fame, or
maybe
sometimes.
Maybe I just hope they get a chance to put their lives back together again.
Right.
And it isn't described as the worst thing that ever happened in the history. They didn't kill anybody. They didn't destroy anybody. They did something that lots of other previous human beings have done before. Probably a lot more than we ever will know.
Right.
So, of much more concern to me is the amount of anti-Semitism that's going on in the world. It's very sad. And it's more than sad. It's inexplainable that at this stage in our development as intelligent Homo sapiens, right, we're still dealing with this anti-Jewish thing. God. A Long Island therapist has vanished from the social media after she allegedly was ranting online to a Jewish woman that the Germans should have ended your kind. The backlash was also seen with Elmont social worker Kenneth Nelson, which she scrubbed from her Psychology Today therapist listings. They're trying to remove her as a therapist. But on July 7, she puts out this thing. And how many humans have your people killed? I'm sure it's more than 28. Germans should have ended your kind. Anyone who could agree with this are the true monsters. Now, I only bring this out. I mean, probably if I brought this out 20 years ago, it'd be one singular anti-Semitic jackass. But these are responsible people who are doing this, and this has become this is kind of seeping in. I'm not going to say into the established discourse, but into the not so shocking discourse. 30 years ago, if I saw that, or 20 years ago, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked. Now I read one of these every other day. And I'm telling you, this anti-Jewish hatred is getting very, very bad. And the reality is, because of politics, the fear of the Democrats in dealing with it is making it worse. And they really pay no price in dealing with it except to help people. They should just condemn it. We don't want people in our party who are anti-Jewish. We don't want people in our party who hate people because of their religion, their ethnic I don't want to have anything to do with people who hate people because they're Catholic or because they're Jewish or because they're Mormon or because they're black or white or pink or what do I want to be with people like that for? Who knows what they're going to do? So I would like to see more unity on this. And the Democrat Party is really afraid of this for very, very sinister reasons. because they know it lies behind a lot of this anti-Jewish hatred, lies behind a lot of their vote. And if they seem like unconcerned about it, they're going to get a lot more of that vote, whereas the Republicans are going to lose it if they overreact to it. Now, this is very, very strange because you'll find Jewish people in the Democrat Party that play along with this. And that's, I don't know how to describe that. I don't know how to describe that. Well, the Israelis don't let that get in their way. The Israelis are using all of the free time that they're getting to reduce, person by person, the number of enemies that they have, so that their country, which has been put through more than any country probably in history, is going to end up surviving as the permanent home of the Jewish people. That's what it was created for. That's what they're trying to stop it as. But I think that they are remarkable people, and they're going to get there. So I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to cover a subject I don't want to cover, but I feel that I have to put it in perspective. And that's the insanity with Epstein. In several different ways. I don't think it's insane that you want to find out who are pedophiles and you want to put them away forever. That's perfectly right. But I think what they're doing now is what all these pictures they're trying to show of Trump and Epstein, and it's quite clear that Trump had nothing to do with that. It's like even the New York Times has come to that conclusion. But they're trying to sort of like hurt his reputation just by showing all the pictures with him. He threw the guy out of Mar-a-Lago. He threw the guy out of the golf course. I don't know what else he was supposed to do, shoot him? But we'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.com.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month.
Wow.
Including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Well, that's a nice picture of three really nice guys.
It's an accident.
As on the on
I'll put that back up.
facing it to the left is my son Andrew. In the middle is Ted, and there's me. And in back of us is the Trump golf course. Correct.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security.
Oh,
We were visiting
wow.
Andrew.
Of course, where he is in charge of FIFA 2026, right?
That's right.
And he's working his tail off.
He's working his butt off. That's right. We visited.
You know, you guys have this almost the same tie on.
Not funny. How many? And I don't get it. I've been asked numerous times, twice yesterday. Are you his son? I don't think they think I'm Andrew, but
you don't look that different.
I guess not that different, right? That is funny.
No, I mean you don't look the same, but you don't look. It's not like
White
it's
and
not
black.
like, oh my God, that would be impossible, right?
Yeah, it's funny.
So I want to get into this this whole situation in Syria, where Bibi is now getting attacked for being trigger happy and wanting to attack everywhere. And I don't know where that's coming from. It has to be coming from the anti-Israel propaganda machine, which has to some extent even infected some of the people in the Trump administration. Not all. I don't know, and I don't know which ones. So I'm not close enough to know which ones, but I know there's a little of that even there, although I don't think it affects the president or his main people. I mean, the reality is that there's a section, a big section of Syria that are made up of, this is oversimplifying, but for the purpose of explaining, made up of three groups of people that were not at all happy with the change that occurred, because they were three groups of people that were protected by Assad. So I think certainly this first group was protected by Assad, the Alawites, Alawites. They are they're Muslim. They're an ethnic group, and they're the group from which Assad emerged. They're his people. And they are in the southwestern part of Syria, which means very close to Israel. Now, also there are a group of people known as the Druze. Now, the Druze are, I think you would say, well, they're Muslim, but very, very individual, somewhat certainly anti-Orthodox Muslim views. So there's a tension there, right, between the Muslim, highly religious people and the Druze, who seem to, I guess, the more Orthodox Muslims, both Shia and Sunni, that they're misusing the religion. Now, I can tell you some of the differences. I'm not a great expert on this, but I know more about it than the average person, having been there, including at the Druze great big beautiful monument in Haifa. Now, put aside the religious part, which if you want, I'll explain to you. If not, we don't have to. The most important part is the Druze are peaceful people. Somehow they've taken their Muslim religion and they've used it as we all should use our religion, for the purpose of being peaceful and not killing people and being helpful and trying to help the human race. The more Orthodox Muslims find them extremely offensive because they don't agree with all of the rules of the Muslim religion. And also, I can't tell how much of the animosity is religious and then how much of it is political. That group, and I think largely because of geographic proximity with the Alawites, was supportive of Assad. And also because Assad protected them. So do the Israelis. The Israelis protect them. There's a very large group of them in Haifa, where they have an absolutely beautiful temple that overlooks the entire city. And the Israeli government has accepted them as citizens, complete citizens. They've served in the government. They've held high positions in the government. And given the fact that they're Arabs, I guess they're Arabs, but Muslims who are willing to get along with the regime and work with it, they're highly treasured by the Israeli government. This is the way it all should work out, right? Whatever their religious ideological differences are with the more Orthodox Muslims. So in this part of Syria, you had three groups. Well, you have three groups, and it makes it volatile. You have the Alawites, who are the supporters of Assad and the Assad family. They're to a large extent, very, very rich. They have a great deal of money. They were connected to the king. And they became the first target of the revolutionaries that's made up of former ISIS terrorists, which Alawad, who is now the head of Syria, rejected about 2.5 years ago. He said, I'm no longer an Islamic extremist that wants to kill every American, every British, I'm now concentrated just on my own country. We want to take it over, and we want to make it a country where we stop persecuting and killing people. How legitimate is all of that? I don't know. I don't know. I don't. And I don't even have a good instinct to tell you, well, it's more likely than not, or vice versa. I just don't know. I just know that's what he's saying. So therefore, if you're going to deal with reuniting this country, you got to put that aside and hope for the best. So instead of that, we've been bringing back there lots of people who have militaristic motives. They want to get rid of the new interim government because they're not as friendly with the Alawites and even the Christians, right? And they have, as far as I can tell, this is an accurate number. But look, I'm not sure. I'm doing the same research you can do. This group, since it has taken over from Assad, and he's fled, they've killed about 1,000 Christians. And they have no compunction killing Christians because they put them in the same category. They put the Christians in a category of being infidels because they don't believe in Allah. And they have this strange belief in the Holy Trinity, which they find to be abhorrent. So Christians are good for enforced slave missions or death. They hate Jews. We don't even want to get involved with Jews are just. And then within their own religion, they will accept people who have partially come over at least. But the ones who haven't, they kill them. So they have engaged over the last couple of months in pretty large destruction. First of the Alawite people who were connected to Assad, now to the people who are preaching a more universal and accepting form of the Muslim religion. And there is more than enough concern that as soon as nobody's looking, the Christians and the other Muslim groups are all going to be wiped out, so they can have their nice, pretty version of the Muslim religion. And that's why Israel intervened, where they're being called trigger happy. I don't get this. The members of the Druze community who are being slaughtered by people inside Syria, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, came to Bibi and said, as allies, we need your help. Now, why do I say allies? Because there are probably pretty close to as many Alawite people in Israel as there are in Syria, except the ones in Israel, they don't kill. They have their own temple. It's one of the most beautiful structures in Haifa. They have their own imams and religious practices. And they participate in the Israeli government as ministers, representatives, judges, on a basis in which they swear allegiance to the law of Israel, so it'll be applied correctly. They don't superimpose Sharia law on that. So this is very, very controversial. And when there's talk that if they take over, they're going to wipe out their opponents, this becomes a very, 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 very worrisome thing. So the complexities of this are mind-boggling. And it's not so difficult to understand why. You are tracing here animosities, hatreds, misunderstandings, deliberately inspired misunderstandings that go back at least 1,500 years. And the latest ones, by the way, are the Muslim ones. You know, Persia and what is now the Saudi Arabian desert, deadly enemies long before Islam came along and converted both of them. The Persians consider themselves much more advanced, much more cultured, much more educated than the Arab Bedouins, and constantly they were at war with each other. So we got ourselves into a situation where so much of this is locked in. It's very, very hard to unpack, and it's very, very hard to unpack with simplistic thinking. And I do like the way in which the Trump administration mostly approaches it, which is to understand that thinking. So I think there's a chance we can work our, or this is going to be hard, but I think there's a way we can work our way through this. I don't see among the large population of Syria a big desire to get involved in a massive civil war. So now I'm going to give you my own little personal issue here, even guilt. With all the coverage being about the Alawites being killed, and the groups of Muslim who basically don't support Assad, what's missing is a very large other group there are Christians. Now that's hard maybe to understand, but it made up both of the Orthodox Church and the Eastern Rite of the Roman Catholic Church. And here they are praying and offering the sacrifice of the Mass and doing it in the place from which religion really emerged. To them, this is a very exciting and wonderful thing. Now, they are also in the crosshairs of the Islamic extremists. If their major objective is to wipe out Muslims who disagree with them, their second major objective is to wipe out Christians, in this case, or Jews, if it were a different group, that disagree with them. And the number constantly given, but it's remained that way for 2 months, so it must have gone up. They've slaughtered 1,000 Christians. And in fact, they were doing it just a month and a half ago when we made an intrusion in one of their compounds and were able to save a lot of them. So this is real. This is going on right now. And as a Christian nation, I think we can still call ourselves that. Or a God-fearing nation at least. We can't just ignore this. This is what caused the war that happened, because the Iranian, make sure I have this right. The first group to intervene here actually was not based on the Christians. The Druze make up a rather important part, not so much of the overall Israeli government, but of the city of Haifa, which is a very, very important city. Plus, they do have members of the governing coalition in Israel, which is, despite the calumny of the extreme left and the New York Times and others, it's a functioning democracy. And these people have, over the course of the war, come to Bibi and his ministers and shown them how their people are being slaughtered, even though these are Druze who would be amenable to peace with Israel, because their brothers and sisters are Israelis living very fine lives in Israel. So they have a different history. So Bibi was convinced he should go in and protect them. Nobody else was. And I don't know how we hold this against him. This is another possible road to peace if we do it the right way. And why don't we try to treat it that way rather than as another major dispute between the Republicans and the Democrats? So there, once again, you know, I could probably do this every time they write a column. But whenever my friend Miranda Devine writes a column, she just shakes everything up. And she's done one on this whole Epstein thing. I think that this is going to require I hate to say this. I hate to say it because we just do this all the time, but I don't know if this thing goes away or we get the answers. Tell me I'm wrong, Ted. But I think this is going to require, I don't want to say special prosecutor, because special prosecutors are so terrible. A special master, investigator, a person who we can trust to tell us what actually happened and what needs to be done about it. So you have this group. You have this group of Iranians and other groups of Muslims who have been connected with him, right? As well as people from the West, people from all over. And he would take groups of people to his island, which we could, for purposes of mockery, maybe we'll call it like Paradise Island or Pedophile Island or whatever it is. There's no question that he was abusing young children, because there are when I say no question, there are substantial numbers of witnesses. Many of the now adult victims, I'm reading from Miranda's column, many of the now adult victims of Epstein were cheated of their chance to confront their tormentor in court because he died in pretrial detention. But the judge allowed them to testify in the Manhattan federal courtroom where Epstein would have been tried, to tell the world what his sexual depravity meant. I was in that courtroom in August 2019 to witness the display of female courage as 17 young women lined up at a microphone, heads held high, to place their suffering on the record. 6 others had their lawyers read out letters. Through tears and shaky voices, they told their stories so we would understand the toll of broken trust. I was nothing more than a teenage prostitute. I was his slave, said one victim who was a 17-year-old virgin when she says Epstein raped her. The most outspoken victim, Virginia Jeffrey, who reportedly committed suicide 3 months ago, told the court Epstein did not act alone. Jeffrey, who fell prey to Epstein at 16 years old, alleged she was passed around like a platter of fruit to powerful men, including Prince Andrew. So, and there's a lot more to this. What do we do about this? There's obviously a lot more stories like this. The main guy to be prosecuted killed himself or was killed. We got the woman, Maxwell, who's out there. Who knows if she's telling us the truth or not, right? I don't know how you give all these women their day in court against him. Now, that's what I'm worried about, that they get justice. What everybody else is worried about is how many politicians can we nail? And here's the problem with that. From what I can see of the records, which are not, these are not like precisely kept military records. You're going to get people who get caught up in this who did it, and you're going to get people who get caught up in this who didn't do it. And then you're going to ruin all these other lives here of people who didn't do it. So I don't know if we can avoid a very serious investigation of this so we can separate the wheat from the chaff. Otherwise, this will be a multi-decade trying to discover a little bit of evidence of this person or that person or some other person that was engaged in illegal, barbaric sex with someone on this island. It's a shame that this falls to Donald Trump. And it's also a shame what they're doing to him. Because long before this guy was revealed as a pedophile, he was an abuser of women. And Trump broke off his relationship with him when that happened. So Trump has no involvement in the abuse of adults, or certainly in the abuse of children. Yet the constant showing of pictures of him with this guy, which are probably 1,000th of the number of pictures he has with Bill Clinton, is very, very unfair. It suggests that there was some kind of untoward relationship between them. And I can tell you that this is something that I'm not speculating about. This is not something I am not just using my power of reason and the facts that I know that that's not true. And I think despite that, they're going to try to figure out a way to make him responsible for this. Now, has the investigation been handled 100% the right way? No. But does that mean we condemn him for sex with underage children? There's no suggestion that Trump did any of that. Trump wasn't even in the category where you would suspect that. The records show and the witnesses affirm that at most Trump was on the Epstein plane 3 times. All 3 times he was returning to New York with his family. And he was borrowing a fellow club member's jet to get home, which he would reciprocate and allow others to use when they needed his jet to get home. There is not the slightest bit of suggestion that either one of them together played around with young girls or that Trump knew about it. And I think when it first came out, Trump, because he knew him in a certain way, felt sorry for him and didn't see the other side of it like nobody else did. So I wish this is not exploited. I have very mixed feelings about how much we really need to know about this. Because if there's 1,000 people who are a bunch of perverts, what the hell are we going to do about them now? And if their names are exposed, it may very well be that 500 are perverts and 500 aren't. And we never know whose life we ruined for nothing. So it's about as difficult a moral and legal and political question as you're ever going to face. And it's amazing how many of these have been put in Trump's lap. I mean, the guy must feel like, what did they elect me, Solomon? These moral decisions are very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. We say a prayer for the repose of the soul of Edwin Fulner. Edwin was one of the co-founders of the Heritage Foundation, which has done more to promote freedom, not just political freedom, but economic freedom, and has done a great deal to point out the disparities and the unfairness of this 2-tier system of justice that we have in the United States. So our prayers for Edwin, and of course for his family, He lived a beautiful, beautiful life, and made extraordinary contributions. I am very impressed, and I guess the Wall Street Journal is too, with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. He's one of the people I didn't know. He's one of the people I worried about because he had a business relationship with Soros. But he's turned out to be an extraordinarily loyal and very, very brilliant proponent of a free economic system. Now, a free economic system doesn't mean an economic system without any regulations, without any laws, without any strict laws, largely because of Madison's admonition to us, all men are not angels. And therefore, if you don't have protection in a system that is maintaining millions, hundreds of millions, billions, and amounts to become impossible to calculate after that. This has to be done very, very carefully and very brilliantly. And I would say that Scott Bessent has added a degree of professionalism to the Trump administration's handling of the economy, where so many difficult questions come out. Like, particularly, should we throw the head of the Fed out? There's good justification for doing it, given what he's done. However, we've never done that before. The statute that creates the agency is unclear, does not give a great deal of guidance on it. The Supreme Court is likely to be rather generous in allowing the president to restructure this entity so that it works more in conjunction with the rest of the government than as the odd man out. However, the Supreme Court is not going to look very favorably on trying to manipulate it. So it really depends a little on how you do this. And I think Scott Bessent has been very, very helpful in making sure that Trump does this in a very, very, government interest first, so that it can be established. The Fed can continue to have a certain amount of independence with regard to monetary policy, so they don't become just the reaction to whatever the flavor of the month is. But at the same time, they have to have a reaction to real economic circumstances. Right now, they're being stubborn about creating a category of debt that would be not as onerous, not as difficult. Also, by lowering interest rates to create economic activity, which would help over the long term to grow us out of our deficit. Exactly why they're being that stubborn about it, I tend to think that Powell is a vindictive man, and Trump has actually pounded him around quite a bit. And I think he's just not going to give Trump anything, because some of the things that Trump are asking for are really quite obviously necessary for our economy. Well, we're gonna conclude our show tonight, so you can get over. This is a night on which Dr. Maria is on, and she is on the Lindell TV, where we had our first hour. And I want you to go over and listen to her, particularly on Israel, where she has quite a bit of information, that some of which I got from her and told you about, but some of which I'm sure she kept for herself. But I can't leave without telling you what a disaster Zoltan Mondani would be if he gets elected. Mayor of New York. I mean, the New York City school system is in it's on life support. This guy will push it right over the top into a communist. I mean, it is to some extent a communist propaganda machine. I am now convinced that a lot of the early pre-kindergarten education was done in order to satisfy Marx's admonition that you got to get control of them by the time they're 2 or 3 years old. So this is going to be a very, very big part of this mayoral campaign. But if Zoran Mondani becomes mayor, this city, the city of New York, it's not this city, I'm not even sitting there right now, but I think of it as this city for all my life, I guess. He's going to make it into a Soviet system. I don't know why you would miss this. He doesn't even really deny it. He's a communist. He's an atheist, God-hating communist. And the communists are people-hating too. It's been at least in modern times, we can't go back too much further, of all the horrible isms that we have been subjected to. Nazism, fascism, Peronism. This has killed more people than any other. It subjected more people to torture than any other. Think of the Falun Gong people whose internal organs are taken out while they're alive so that they will be very, very valuable to sell to other people who want organs. This is a common practice in China. And they practice it on the Falun Gong because the Falun Gong does not accept their view of no religion, no God. Every once in a while, when they run out of Falun Gong, they'll use Christians for that purpose as well, who they despise, hate, and want to remove as quickly as possible, and who they persecute and kill whenever they can get away with it, similar to what's going on with their Islamic brothers and sisters who've been doing this in Europe. Well, we're going to have to see how our great president navigates his way through all of this. I really do think it's going to require another show of military force, because I don't think they respect anything else, because they're sure they're right, we're wrong, and Allah is on their side. I'm not saying they all are, but I'm saying that the governing groups, whether they are the insane Islamic Republic of Iran or the more reasonable, but still very, very Islamic oriented groups that want to save and change the Islamic Republic of Iran, or remove the tremendous pressure of this extremism from Syria. They themselves have a lot of very strange ideas that involve the subjugation and domination of women, with the possible exception of the MEK, which a long time ago has banked on the fact that the biggest sufferers here are women. And therefore, the leader of the organization is an extraordinary woman named Madam Rajavi, who we will tell you more about over the course of the next several weeks. So we're going to conclude so you can get over to Dr. Maria. But I want you to want you to focus on how far gone this has become. In Long Island, which in an area that would be considered when I was growing up, a rather Jewish area of Long Island, was speculating. A Long Island therapist who has now vanished from social media after allegedly claiming online to a Jewish woman that the Germans should have ended your kind because of the Israel-Hamas war. It was put on July 7. And it says, and how many humans have your people killed? I'm sure it's more than 28. Germans should have ended your kind. Anyone who could agree with this are the true monsters. This is directed at the Jewish people who have organized to try to save themselves from Muslim extremism. And it gives you an idea of the complexity that is faced here, that comes at you from all over. Israel is an island in an ocean of hate directed at them, based on the wonderful workings of God, has created some potential allies because of the circumstances. And very delicately and very intelligently, we have to negotiate our way through that so that we end up with an alliance that involves Israel's historic enemies, some of which has already been done by Donald Trump, right? Egypt, Jordan. Well, Egypt was done actually by Carter, but Jordan, the Emirates, the next and the really biggest one, of course, is Saudi Arabia, which is the richest country in that group and one of the richest in the world, and more or less the religious, not more or less, more, the religious leader of the Sunni version of the Muslim religion, which is the predominant version. It's something like 85 and 90%. But they are in a very tenuous position. So I know this is very, very hard to follow. And I know this is very hard to comprehend. All that should do is challenge us to come up with solutions. These are human problems. God didn't create these problems. God gave us religions that give us a road to eternal life. And we have, like we did in the Garden of Eden, our complexities and our narcissism and our evil nature has made this much more difficult and has lost for us an enormous number of innocent human lives. It's time to try to do it the right way. Let's get them to stop killing each other for reasons that make no sense anymore. There's no reason, for example, for the Chinese to be wiping out a whole group of people. I don't know, they're just not Chinese enough. So let's dedicate ourselves to that. And we have a president who's got his mind pretty much focused on that. Sometimes the adjustments are a little difficult because a lot of people, I don't think, understand what he's trying to do. He's not trying to win this war and that war and this war and that war and this war and that war. That's about as many as he'd have to win. He's trying to win the big war. To get people to see whether they're excessive Muslim nuts or excessive as Orthodox Jews or Christians or whatever the hell else there is, to get them to see that in every one of these situations, there's a way to live in peace. You're going to have a much happier and much better life if you do that. And in almost every case, peace is obstructed by irrational things that we can get under control if we have enough people interested in the subject of public affairs. I don't mean political affairs necessarily. I mean the whole area of public affairs, because this is affected by politics. It's affected by the church. It's affected by the mosque. It's affected by people's legitimate religious beliefs. It's affected by people's fantasies. So we got to get them in to talk and to find their common ground. You know, it really exists. These are people from that area of the world. You know, we hear anti-Semitic, right? Well, the Semites include the Arabs. They should get along. They have gotten along and not. So I think if we can move this onto the right path, you're going to have a positive, powerful exemplar of how you can reach peace in this very, very troubled time. So thank you very much for listening in to us tonight on the first day of this week, the 21st of July. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 on Lindell TV. And then we'll be here on X at 8 on America's Mayor Live. And now we want you to go over to Lindell TV and listen to Dr. Maria, who will be following up on many of the same subjects that we're talking about. And sometime this week, we'll have her come on and kind of meld it together for us. Remember, she's on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're on every night. And we'll be back tomorrow at 7 unless something happens. We're always available. If something happens, Ted and I hope you enjoy seeing Ted. We're working hard on the lighting so that he draws. I mean, it's, whenever we put him on, it's like already, get me his phone number. I want to, is he married? Well, let me just say, for purposes of my own ratings, he's not married or seriously involved. And he's a heck of a good guy. So, thank you, Ted.
Thanks for those words, Mayor. Maybe that'll land me a date.
Taking care of my tooth today.
But we're pro-marriage though on the show. We do want to say
we support definitely pro-marriage.
We want to make sure that's very clear.
We want them to have kids.
That is important.
Got to have kids. That's how we perpetuate ourselves. Right. Well, pray for the people of Israel and pray for the people of Ukraine and pray for the people of Iran and pray for the people of the world and pray for America. We love you, God, and we know, God, you love us. So God bless America.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze,